What a huge game of football this is. The second leg of the Champions League semi-final. Manchester City against the current holders, of course, Real Madrid. The state of play as we head into this one is 1-1, of course, in that first game. Perfect. Away from home. Man City, obviously, back under lights in Manchester, but up against a Real Madrid team that in this competition are just stunning. I know I've sort of learnt my lesson over the years of going, surely. But you've got two very star-studded teams, but two quite different teams. And if we just quickly run through the stats in terms of that first game, both teams will kind of go into the second leg feeling okay, but certainly not dominant. Real Madrid, their XG was 0.70, possession 44%. Total shots 13, shots on target 4, and 1 big chance. Man City, the XG 0.55, so tight, not a lot of being given away. Jack Grealish was speaking about how they felt like the only way they were going to get a goal was a shot from outside the box, and that was the case for both teams, although there were some big saves made as well, and we're going to talk about the goalkeepers. How are you feeling about this one with Real Madrid? Because normally Man City are the dominant favourites for every game of football that they play, especially at home, but Real Madrid are special, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and like you say, they've got some sort of mystic hold over the European Cup. City, I expect them to dominate possession. This is their season boiled down into one game, basically. It's the one they're desperate to win.
Feels like a bit of a final, doesn't it?
I think, looking at the standard of the other final, I don't want to belittle AC or Inter because they're huge football clubs with fantastic players, but I feel as though the winner of this, more than likely for me, goes on to win the whole competition. Sure. And I think probably both squads internally feel that to a certain extent, but yeah, you can only beat what's in front of you, and I think Man City, bringing them back to the Etihad, having that home advantage, this is the one that they need to take that next step into the final. But Real Madrid, they're just so comfortable. They're so comfortable when they're under pressure,
yes,
and they can hurt you so much. And for me, the biggest worry from a City point of view is how quiet Benzema was all game at the Bernabeu. He won't have 2 games where he's quiet, and I think that's the key to it for me.
They love suffering. They love soaking up.
I don't think I think it's great, amazing points, because we don't really talk about that, because you just think, oh, look at all these star-studded players, but they find themselves in uncomfortable situations regularly, but they gently bend. They don't break.
They never panic.
Yeah.
I think Carlo Ancelotti said after the game, City dominated the first game, but they didn't actually create a chance, which is actually very true. They really struggled to break them down. City were a little bit more conservative, but that probably tells you how scary Real Madrid are. City are not scared of anyone, and they went to the Bernabeu and said, probably not going to bomb on here, we're probably going to sit in a little bit here. And Madrid sort of said, come on, make us suffer, because that's where they get like their enjoyment from. And then they go and score like a wonderful goal from Vinicius, and everyone goes, what a goal from Vinicius. That came from them being willing to draw City in, and then Camavinga with such a powerful run. And I think it almost favours them a little bit that City will want more of the ball at home, because they'll go, just keep bringing it. And I think we're going to talk about Haaland eventually. That area of the pitch, Rudiger actually suits Haaland. There's a lot of centre-backs go, I'll have him physically. Ben Godfrey did it, and Haaland just ate him up. But then you go against Rudiger, and Rudiger's actually physically able to do it. That's a very different contest. And if you can keep him quiet, and City have relied on him a little bit at home, and then you have Vinicius and then Benzema, as you said. But Rodrigo, the forgotten man in the Champions League, he always comes clutch. And on top of that, I think they'll just be more prepared for City than they were this time round. This time round, it felt like they were sort of both going, oh, I don't know if you want it, and I don't know if we want it, but that really suits Madrid. Yeah,
I think they're sort of obviously they were wise before, but they do. It feels even a year more ingrained in terms of Real Madrid and how they play. So for Man City, they kind of knew what was coming. You know how they're going to set up. You know they're going to look to get Vinicius Jr. You know they're going to focus down that left-hand side. You know Valverde's going to provide the legs on the right side of it. And you know Rodrigo's going to look to someone to cut inside and be that option there as well. I think you're right. Real Madrid were kind of going... I remember Man City from last year, and if you look at the two teams, very, very different. A lot of changes. Foden was playing in that game. Gabriel Jesus was playing in that game. And Cancelo was playing in that game. So I think they were trying to sort of figure out what they were about in the first half of it. And in the second half, they did look a lot stronger. In terms of those big matchups, because I think you can talk tactics all day long, they're both going to be great. They're both going to be ready for a huge, huge game. So I think it will come down to sort of individual moments, and maybe
Madrid are not the team you want to go up against for individual moments.
well, yeah, but also I wonder if there could be some little misdemeanors here. Like I wonder if this could get a little bit aggy. There could be a bit of
100%.
frustration. And so coming to that Rudiger-Haaland matchup, and there's a few to discuss, but Rudiger-Haaland, you can just see. I don't know.
It's kicking off.
Well, there's Carvajal Grealish as well, which got a bit aggy.
I was really impressed with Grealish for keeping his cool, actually.
Yeah, and he said again in his interview, fantastic interview, kind of saying, be ready for him.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen this a lot with Grealish this year. He doesn't mind a little bit of that. He doesn't start it, but he doesn't sort of fall away from it. But do you think the Rudiger-Haaland one, that like as much as you can deal with him physically, the tenacity... I've heard so many people talk about how annoying Rudiger is.
Yeah.
And on the biggest stage, when it's so tense, could you see something happening there?
So for me, like Rudiger did a really good job against Haaland. He kept him quiet for 90 minutes. He was touch tight to him.
Yes.
But do you know what? It only takes one slip of concentration and Haaland's in behind you. And that's all it takes for a striker. You can be rubbish all game, but for 1 second, that's all it takes is that right run, that right pass, and that composure. And Haaland has got that. So... yeah, we can laud Rudiger all we want for that first leg, but it only takes one mistake in the second leg. So how aggressive and how tight he gets, he's got to be perfect all evening.
Mentally, how do you deal with that kind of tussle as a striker as well? Like, have you had moments in your career where you've kind of lost your way, or lost your temperament?
I think that it can...
That's a yes.
No, it can ignite you.
Right.
He wants you to win even more, that physical presence. But I think that what was always in the back of my mind as a striker, especially in the Premier League, is that I think I was quite a realist, and I probably wasn't as athletic and as strong as some of these defenders that I came up against. But I only needed a moment.
Yes.
Whether that was a bounce of a ball coming off someone, whether it was a good pass, or the other thing is for me is that a defence is a unit, so they've always got to be looking at the ball. Strikers do what they want, and I actually played centre back once, and it was the worst afternoon of my life. Yeah, I think Tony Pulis was sending a message to the Crystal Palace hierarchy in pre-season, and we're out in America, and he plays me centre back. Yeah, so I'm playing centre back with Peter Ramage, and I'm like, this is sweet, like no problem. That the ball's in their 18-yard box, I'm like completely switched off. And all of a sudden, Peter Ramage is screaming at me. I'm like, Rambo, it's like, the ball's all the way up there, like, relax. He's like, no, we've got to get organised, like, shuffle over, come on, push it. I'm like, wow, you're like always knocked on her. And he was like, yeah. And like, if somebody runs past you, you've got to go with him. Where's the striker? And just do what you want.
Right.
There's no like play, like you can run in that direction, you can not run, you can literally just chill. So being centre back, you need to be precise and perfect. But for a striker, it only takes a moment.
That's why I think he might actually start Militao over Rudiger. Militao's been one of the best defenders in Europe this
Suspended
season.
for that last game.
Yeah, and I think he always play Alaba because they play out from that side, and Eder Militao. And I think that's actually something they missed in the first leg, is Militao's brilliant crossfield passes. Rudiger doesn't tend to do that. And Rudiger does have a moment where he'll just switch off because Haaland gave him a shove and he didn't like it, so he's going to try and fly into it. Militao is much more intelligent in those situations. I think that's actually the matchup. Whether Ancelotti starts Rudiger or Militao is entirely up to him, obviously. But I honestly feel Militao's been so consistent. Rudiger's been on the bench all year. You've got to go with your main man.
Really? I don't know. I think you've got to play Rudiger in this one, because I think when it's as tight a game as that, there's a real opportunity to get someone sent off here, and then you give yourself a real chance.
In the back of his mind is going, he kept me in his pocket in the first leg, but we didn't actually go at him. Let me go at him this week. And City will, and Rudiger's probably going, I kept him in my pocket last week. It's completely different now.
And I wonder if is there that possibility and freedom to him to go and stand on Alaba as well? Because Alaba's 5'11", 6'4". The use of the long ball from Man City has been a bit more prevalent in the last couple of months, and you have that with Haaland, someone who can kind of stretch it but maybe provide that bit of hold up play, a bit like the Arsenal game and what he was able to do there. The goalkeepers, I just wanted to touch on them for a second, because Courtois in particular, he's one of the few goalkeepers that you see a moment happen and then go, oh, God, he's big, isn't he? This Courtois guy. 38 saves so far this season. He's prevented 5.54 goals in terms of sort of XG and stuff, or 6 guaranteed goals, really, if you round it up. That's the thing for me with Real Madrid is, again, they are capable of suffering, but even if you get past that, it's going to be very difficult to get past Real Madrid because of Courtois in goal. Because, again, another player comes up clutching big games.
He's also a moments goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's one of these keepers where he won't do anything for 96 minutes, and on the 97th minute, and I'm saying this from experience, Salah goes to the byline, cuts one across the face of goal, let's go in top corner, and he's flicked it past the post. But he sort of like symbolises what Madrid are all about. Suffer. Your keeper comes up with a moment that changes the way the game feels, and that feeling changes because he gives you so much comfort. On the flip side, I think Ederson, although he's been much better this season, I think he still has moments where he switches off. He still has moments where, it happened towards the end of the game. He rushed out to clear a corner and then sort of like left it, and the ball was just in the air. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, stay on your line. You've done so well all game. Courtois, for me, is like in the top 2 keepers in the world. So, yeah, it's handy having him between 6. I have a guess.
Ederson, of course, he's been fantastic, isn't he? 83% success rate for his saves. Is that what you mean? No, he means Alisson. Of course he does. So, how does this play out, and who's the hero? Because it could be absolutely anyone. Like you said, Benzema quiet in the last game, Rodrigo quiet in the last game, but obviously you've seen them step up numerous times. It was amazing that you kind of going Benzema was quiet in the last game. Like, as it's a good, it's almost like, well, that. There's just no way that happens twice. How's this game won?
Moments.
Yeah.
About keeping that calm, that composure, somebody standing up and being a superstar. And I suppose the ones you look at are Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland. Are they going to step up? De Bruyne stood up in the Bernabeu. Is Benzema going to have a moment of magic? Vinicius, Rodrigo, like you say. I mean, it just boils down to that individual moment. I think because they are so tight, they're so well matched. 2 teams of world superstars, and I mean, these are the games that I just love sitting down and watching. This is what football's about for me.
Where does your gut go in terms of sort of that hero, that name? Like, who's the guy?
Probably Vinicius. Although I really feel City will win this. I think it is their year. I think they've been.
So how can Vinicius be the hero?
Well, he might score 3 like Mbappe did in the final and still the hero. When you say like who do I think will turn up, it's him, because in the Champions League he does, and if Madrid have a player that does turn up, it's him. My only feeling is, generally speaking, I think City are so well rehearsed and best packaged as a Champions League team. And I think in the first leg, City were timid and were careful, really careful, and Madrid got a bit of an easy ride defensively. This time round, City will have to go for them. And I think Grealish said they haven't lost at home since Brentford, which was before the World Cup. And whether we like it or not, whether we think the Etihad is fully packed out or not, it's a very difficult place to go. Yeah. They obviously like to play there. And although I think Vinicius will have a storming game, I cannot see how Madrid beat City. City have too many solutions.
Okay. One name is just it's in my gut. I just be it a moment of composure, awareness, class, or even a late run. Gundogan. I just wonder with this guy. I feel like this because there are so many stars, and he's the guy. You were talking about sort of ghosting into certain areas when it is so tight like that. Just that little bit of ingenuity from him. I wouldn't be surprised if he provides that. But you would expect those big names of Haaland and De Bruyne to step up. Predictions. What are we saying, Clem?
I'll let you go first.
Well, I don't know.
You just can't write Madrid off.
Yeah,
even though I
problem.
feel as though City will win at home with that advantage, and I think probably De Bruyne will be the one that steps up and does something special, because I was listening to someone speak midweek. I think it was Jamie Carragher about the greatest ever midfielders, and to be that greatest ever midfielder or be in the conversation, you need to have won a major competition like the Champions League. And I just wonder if this is Kevin De Bruyne's year to stand up and drag City along, but you just can't write off Madrid.
He said, "Go first." Look at him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Man City. I just think this is the year they can win the Champions League with the way they play. They don't need to play loads of passes. They can be direct. Haaland, whether he scores or not, will have a massive impact on the game, and they will have a go this time. And I just think, surely Madrid can't keep doing this. You can't keep playing suffer ball and keep winning. It just cannot happen. So I'll go 2-1 City.
I think this goes all the way. I think
penalties.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
Surely
pens.
not.
I just can't.
Can't be a 0-0. It's got to be what? It's got to be a score draw.
I can see it
Away
being
goals
1-1
don't count
again.
anymore.
Yeah, I know, but he can't. It's not going to finish 0-0. Surely not.
You imagine there's too much quality on the
Yeah.
pitch with it. But then we were talking about the goalkeepers. That there's the possibility of them keeping them out. I think it goes the whole way. I think it goes the distance, and I wouldn't go against Courtois being the hero when it comes to penalties because the guy is just enormous. So I'm going to go Real Madrid on pens.
Nice.
We need a specific call here, Clint.
For
Go on.
me?
Yeah.
I suppose I've learned over years of City's failure to do it and Madrid's success in doing it. I've got to side with history and Madrid.
All right, guys, how's it going to happen? Be specific. Get in those comments. Off you go.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.